Hey guys, welcome to OTGW and part 2 of our discussion about the differences between schools in China and the schools in the US.
Yes, watch Mike and I be nostalgic together.
Yes. So each year you have 2 tests, the midterm final.
For one class.
For each class.
For each class, yeah.
Then what happens is there's 2 tests in your life as a student that will scare the bejesus out of you.
Which is the GAOKAO.
I know that one. The GAOKAO, right before high school. Because there is a levels of prestigious and crappy high schools in China.
Correct.
I went to a pretty crappy one because, you know, I don't know. I didn't know any Chinese when I went back.
Also because you were American.
Prestigious high schools that it will take you, you know, such a high score. And this GAOKAO is like citywide and statewide. So everyone takes the same tests.
Right.
Correct.
And then they select which students gets into which high school.
Right.
Then it's the DAKAO.
Right. For the
Then it's college time.
Right.
So these 2 tests, like, basically determine your future.
Right.
But when I went into my class,
Hold on, so you took the GAOKAO?
I took the GAOKAO.
Yeah, okay,
I
because
took
you were
the
going
GAOKAO.
into high school.
when I went into my class, there were 65 people. The second year of my class, which was right before GAOKAO, dropped down to 35.
Okay, so there's a lot of dropouts.
Completely dropped down.
Okay, because they were like, it's too
Like, just
stressful.
dropped down.
So what do they do once they drop out?
A bunch of them went to police academies.
Okay. Army, maybe?
Army. A bunch of them just became hoodlums on the streets. Like, they hang out outside of school.
Because they were like, I have no future.
Yeah,
Because
basically.
that's the problem. Because to me, what I heard is Chinese society, education society, is literally your whole career, schooling career, is set up for these 2 tests.
Yes.
Because Chinese believe that the only way you're going to make it anywhere in life is if you get into a good college. That becomes the biggest thing, and that becomes the biggest problem because you spend 18 years of your life thinking that if I don't do this, I'm worth nothing, and that's
Basically.
and that's horrible. That's horrible. I'll just say it right now. That's
and
horrible.
honestly, even if you go into the colleges, they matter which college you go to.
Which is
It's not like
ridiculous.
you can just go to any college and graduate and there's a job waiting for you. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
Like job placement in China, a lot of it is about guanxi.
Right.
Yeah, and not only that, but if you think about it, first of all, getting into college, there's way less colleges in China than in America,
So
but
this is
way
what-
more people.
This is where my research comes in. You ready? You ready? You ready?
Here we go.
So just by the sheer numbers alone, you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
So in 2004, there was a survey. There's over 2,200 universities and college in China. Now there's more. That was 2004, right? Can't be that much more. Let's say, give or take a few hundred. Let's say 2,500 to 3,000. But there's 1.6 billion people, and a good portion of them are enrolling, right? So just imagine that number, right? 3,000 around serving a percentage of 1.7 billion. In America, there's over 6,000 colleges and universities serving literally like a fifth of the population. So just do the math. There's just way more, hundreds of more per person in America than there are in China. So of course, you're like cattle. You're basically they're picking the best scores.
Yeah.
Like in America, like
Their
you don't-
interviews, like,
Yeah.
we don't have time to meet with like 5,000 people in a day, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen if interviews were created in
Exactly.
China.
There's no. So they use the score. That's the only way to judge.
And a lot of times, obviously, even like my cousin, she went to college, graduated. Can't
You're
find a job.
Chinese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Can't find a job.
can't find a job.
So because my family has a lot of connection in the railroads, she got a job as a train something in the railroad industry. So that's only because then I'm like, then why'd you even go to college?
Right.
What's the point? And there's you know what the dream is. A lot of the times the dream is you go to college, you get into a prestigious college like Beijing University or Tsinghua.
Tsinghua, yeah.
Fudan.
And what you do is you try to go to the U.S. or you try to go to Europe. That's basically what you do
Oh
in
my
China.
gosh.
Because like let's say because in today's society there's a lot of newly rich Chinese, so I'm not talking about those people because obviously if you're newly rich, it doesn't matter what school you go to, you're rich.
Yeah.
And a lot of them get the money kind of in the not so legal ways. But I'm talking about like I was fortunate enough to grow up in the U.S., but my mom's friends. Those are all the people you guys are talking about. They're born in China, went to school in China, did all the DAKAO, GAOKAO, DAKAO, whatever, and then they got a regular job. Now those kids are 40, right? They've been living in China, and it's like their jobs aren't that prestigious. They don't make any money.
My dad went to Tsinghua. It's like the best school in China. There are plenty of people who didn't go to Tsinghua that are way more successful than my dad. I mean, no offense, Dad, if you're watching this, I don't think you are. But anyways, like, you know, they're way more successful than him, you know? And but the thing is, like my dad takes so much pride in his school because he knows how hard it is to get a slot in there. He's like, if you can make it there, like you're literally the cream of the crop, like apparently in China. And but the thing is, later on, my dad came to America, right? Because only the best of the best can come to America, right? And then they come to America and then they study here and then they get their jobs. And then he was working in Silicon Valley. And then one year they had a Tsinghua, like, you know, gathering of all the people who work in Silicon Valley. He went there and there were 3,000 people who showed up and it was like not even half. Like some people just didn't show up and he was like, I worked so hard and look, everybody's like me. I'm like, I don't feel like I don't stand out at all. Like there are a bunch of there's like 3,000 engineers and like software people there just be like, yeah, I went to Tsinghua too, you know?
I mean, the problem I have with the Chinese system of schooling is from when you go to school to when you're 18, like you need to develop as a person. It really doesn't matter how much you learn, because let's be serious. So now all of us went to high school in America and we did 4 years, some of us more, of college in America. And honestly, like if you go to school in America, you still don't know what you want to do after you get out of college. Am I right? And you need that time to develop as a person. And if you waste all that time just getting a good score, like think of the type of person you are.
Here's the problem with the system over there. Here it's like, okay, take your time, figure out what you want to do, and achieve it. In China, that's not the case. Because you don't get to have a choice.
I know.
You don't get to have a choice of, okay, I'm going to pursue this occupation. Sorry, that's not the path you were on since you were a kid.
I agree.
Okay? A lot of people, when they graduate college, it's not by choice what job they have. It's about, I'll take whatever job is available.
You not only not have a choice of job, you don't have a choice of major. Like, you know what I'm saying? My dad couldn't choose his major.
Really. Come on. Really.
In China, when you go to college, there's two major sectors. Wenke, Like.
What is
That's
that?
true.
Basically language or sciencey stuff.
Science.
Wait, so you're saying I can't do a major like arts semiotics, which is an actual major?
Yeah, no one knows.
No.
What that is. So like Tsinghua is known as a 理科 school. And Beida is known as a 文科 school.
Yeah.
So those are the two. You go to you go to Beida, you're majoring more in English, language stuff. So there's really not like here, like I'm gonna major in horse riding. No, sorry. But this is why a lot of people may wonder why there's so much piracy in China. Because in China, a lot of times what you're doing is you have to try to make money some way. It's not about like here, okay. You can always go get a job. Go work at McDonald's. You can earn minimum wage. You can live. In China, that's not really an option.
Wow.
You would beg for minimum wage. You'd be like, give me a job anywhere.
That's insane.
And this is why there's so much crime. I mean, this is not the only reason, but this is a big part of it. Okay, so if you don't try to make some money somehow, then you know what? Your family's gonna starve. There's no social services to help you. The government isn't gonna help you. There's no like unemployment to help you. You starve.
This is the #1 reason I hear newly rich Chinese people why they want to immigrate to America. They don't care about them. They want their kids to get an American education. And it's not an American education. Like you're gonna learn a lot less in America, right? We all talked about that. But the American education is at least you're gonna have a chance to grow as a person and not
also
be
you
limited.
have a childhood.
And you have a childhood. You're gonna make friends. You're gonna have what it boils down to. You're gonna have a better quality of life, and you're gonna go to American college, and you're gonna wave that diploma around, and you pretty much can get a job anywhere.
Can we just touch upon? I just want to say the discipline of the teachers between the two. Can I just touch upon that?
Yeah.
Because in the U.S., right, they can't really discipline you that much.
They can't. They can do nothing to you.
Whatever, give you a check mark. In China, I literally, the craziest thing I ever witnessed was my teacher having one of the students who was goofing around. She had him go up to the front, and then she literally said this. She's like, slap yourself. And the guy was like, what? She's like, slap yourself. And he did it. She's like, harder! Yeah. And that's you literally, like, also my teachers, they mean well. They mean well. They weren't like crazy abusive, but teetering on that borderline, like a smack you with a ruler. They'll smack you in the face. You know, we've seen some crazy teachers in China that go way further than that. Yeah. But teachers in China, they discipline a whole different way than...
Yeah.
Even the small amounts that you're talking about would get them in prison in America.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, the thing is, in China though, it's like the parents can be scolded by the teachers because basically when you go to school, you're handing your children over to the teachers for them to educate. And they can beat them, they can do whatever they want with them, just straighten them out. I've seen parents be like, yeah, do whatever you want with this kid, I don't know how to handle them. Or sometimes when the kid misbehaves, the teachers yell at the parents for not being, you know, good parents.
Yeah, why aren't you beating your kids at home?
And then the thing is, like, every time you get into trouble in China, we get the talk, you know? And it's called a talk, it was really more like a yelling session. So you get pulled into a room, usually like nobody's there, or in a corner or something like that. And then the teacher yells at you for about an hour in which she kind of puts you down so hard that you have to come out crying, basically. Yeah. If you don't cry, if you haven't been broken, you don't get let out.
There's a lot of method of shaming.
Public shaming.
Like, we used to be like, if we answer a question, like we didn't get the right answer, we would be forced to stand. Right. And we just had to stand there. And then where we stand in front of the room, that's what we did. Like, there was a lot of public shaming, just like standing there.
I gotta clarify something. The form of testing has been around in China forever, right? I mean, before they would like 考状元, right? What I'm saying, like in ancient China, we I don't know why this is about China, but we take tests very seriously throughout the history. But I feel like the shaming tactics they get you to study these days, that's very like that didn't come about until after the Cultural Revolution, I'd be like, until the Chinese Communist Party took over, I think, because before I feel like, you know, you were told to study hard and then to make your test, but nowadays like it's a very like kind of twisted environment.
I bet back in the day, now I'm not a Chinese historian, but we could probably look this up. You know, education was also really important, and I'm sure they had testing, but I think they also gave you classes that taught you how to be a good person.
No, of course,
and you know, the arts, brush painting, so at least you're having fun, even though it's rigorous, but like in today's society, to me, it's just get a good score, learn all this useless crap. I'm sure they'll probably make you do violin on top of your 12 hours of study.
You don't get to learn that stuff.
No, we don't.
It's musical school.
Yeah, exactly.
On top of your regular school?
There's different schools.
Yes.
If you go to a normal public school, you don't get to do sports.
Okay,
no
right,
music.
Right. This is very much kind of like from communist Russia, right? Because, you know, a lot of, well, actually communism came from the West, but like, if you look at like when Americans go to the Olympics and you look at the Russians and the Chinese, the Russians and the Chinese are always the two countries where it's, like you said, same haircuts, it's basically a factory. Right? It's like you have abilities, you're going in here. But even if you look at other European countries like Sweden, France, like it's not like that. Some people, if they're just tuning in, they have a lot of this kind of, I call it blind pride. They might be like, oh, you guys are just bashing China. No, we're not. Like, I had to leave China, and I think you guys might be in a similar boat. And then I could really learn about China from the outside. And, you know, we learn more about traditional China than people that are in China because we have access to it. I'm not just reading everything the Chinese government's giving me. I have access to friends and family. So to me, like, I have a lot of Chinese pride like you. And it's not just I eat Chinese food. In fact, I don't eat that much Chinese food, you know, but I learn about a lot of the traditional values. That's why we always talk about going to see shows like Shen Yun, you know, read a lot of text that's not from China and, you know, just kind of like learn about it on your own because the internet's out there. So I just want to clarify that, yes, there are a lot of negative things in China, but it's important to, it's fun hearing about how we grew up, but also like, you know, use your brain, people. You know, like, it's not, when you say bad stuff about a country, it's not like you hate the country.
We are Chinese people and we have a lot of pride in, I mean, I'm very proud to be Chinese, obviously, you know, and you know, I read Chinese classical literature, I learned about the history, the uncensored version, of course, and whatnot, but, you know, but having lived there and having, my parents are still in China and a bunch of people, I do know a lot about, you know, at least I think about modern history in China and some ancient history in China, and I just feel like what we have to criticize is what is happening right now. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the current system that's in place. Yeah. You know, we love the country, the people, but you know, the government, the system, I mean, come on. Like, you know, as people who are, you know, who love their country, of course we want to say, you know, so, be objective about it. We're just trying to be objective, you know?
So like kind of going back, like, so do you feel like your educational days in China, like, would you do it again? How would you do it different?
I would do it again purely because I think one thing it did teach me a lot of was discipline.
Yeah.
It made me tough Like, I don't think I'd be nearly as tough. It also kind of harmed me because the years I spent in China, when I went back, it was right when I was about to take the ACTs and SATs.
Oh,
so my English was
horrible.
Yeah.
So when you came back,
it was horrible.
When you came back to America, you were
junior
like
year,
way behind.
I was taking my SATs, ACTs, and my verbal part, I was just like, what is this word? I don't understand it.
But you did really good on math.
I did really good on math, but everything else, I was just like, oh my goodness.
But do you feel like you would have liked to spend less there? I mean,
actually, I didn't want to come back.
Really?
I was because
no.
Here's the thing. I made friends over there. I had a girlfriend there. I was
if you guys don't know, watch it.
Anyway.
You've been brainwashed.
Hold on. Girlfriend or fiance?
Well, it wasn't a fiance till later.
Later, yo, Mike. But dude,
I was like 15.
But if you stayed there, you would have.
I wouldn't have the opportunities as I would have had.
And you would be a different person.
I'd be a different
Much
person.
different person.
You know, the personalities, like, you know, I was a very different person when I was in China too, and then I became kind of like different when I came back again because, you know, it brings out the different environments bring out different sides in you. But I have to say something, I agree with you, Mike, is in the sense that there were some good things in while I was learning in China. I thought the education system sucked, but at the same time, you really bond with your classmates because here's the thing, in America, I believe that do you guys have homeroom?
Yeah, we have homeroom.
That you.
But it's not the same.
It's like.
What's your homeroom?
China's homeroom is basically Chinese kids. It's not like in the U.S. you go to different classes.
Yeah.
In China, in public school, a lot of times you stay in one classroom.
Yes.
The teachers rotate.
Yes, that's how we do it.
That's your whole room forever. It's kind of crazy because in China, like you start dating the same people in your home.
Yes.
Your best friends are the people in your home. That's it.
You guys
you start having rivalries with other homerooms.
Listen,
Oh my God. Do not even get me started on the rivalries with other homerooms. Oh, first of all, the teachers who get the best classes, like with the best scores, get paid more. That's what I heard, okay? This is a rumor, but that's what I heard, and I believe
I heard that too.
And then, so all our teachers kicked our butts because they wanted us to study so hard. But at the same time, you know, and I'm not going to hate on my teachers just because there are some teachers who abused us, that's true, but there were certain teachers that they criticized you, but it also seemed like they cared about you. You know, I've always gone back to all of my old teachers and visited them and brought flowers to them because they basically, my parents did not see me the majority of my schooling years. You know what I'm saying? It was them. They kind of looked after me, and then when something was wrong, they did, you know, care about me and whatnot. I mean, they did not care about it in the sense that, I'm sorry, are you depressed? Let me send you to a therapist. Are you depressed? Let me tell you about life. This is how life works. You can't be depressed. Anyways, that's an example. But they care about you, and I actually bonded with many of my teachers.
Too.
Yeah, I visited my teacher's home. I met her daughter. I became very good friends with her daughter. I met her husband, who's also a teacher. Anyways, the point is, you know, you develop like deep feelings with these people because they're in your life so much. Know
what you guys are saying, but now I can also see why Japanese anime, like it's all like classes. Because to me, like this why? Now I get it.
Big
now
part
I
of
get
our
it.
lives.
Because I'm sure, like, you know, the strictness of the school system, like, it spreads across a lot of Asia. A lot of Asian countries. Probably a very strict, similar kind of schooling. I know the Koreans also have their GAOKAO and whatever.
And
Japanese too.
Because the bonding thing, usually in America, I don't bond with my homeroom or with my teachers. I bond with my.
Think of it this way.
Like sports teams.
Just like why some fraternities do hazing. They bond that pledge class by torturing. So it's kind of like the same way.
But we got tortured by the system, so we bonded ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
All right, guys. So that's a pretty in-depth look from our perspective about the two different schooling systems in China and the U.S. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, whether you agree or not. This is our opinion, our perspective. So hopefully you learned a little bit today. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.